Hello and welcome to my fifth dev blog. Within this session, I'll be creating a spectrogram visualizer. This process will be very new to me. This works off a image. So here I am baking the audio and turning it into a spectrogram. So this image here is what will be used as the basis for the waveforms within the effect. So yeah, let's get started. So now that I had the spectrogram ready, I began creating the effect itself. So to start, I created a flat plane, and then I used an image texture to tie the spectrogram to the plane. At this point, I began extending the spectrogram so that it would fit onto the whole plane. And as the sequence would continue, as the music would play, the spectrogram moves, but it's only visible within the plane. So it creates with this sort of wave effect, and that acts as our visualizer. However, at this point in the within this session, I ran into my biggest problem, and this one took me a while to fix. But each of the waves was meant to be moving from left to right, so that we see the sort of the wider face of the waveform. However, it was moving from front to back, so it's moving along the wrong axis. So when I looked at it, I was just seeing thin lines instead of the wider waveforms. So as a result, I had to flip the image itself, the spectrogram, and by doing so, it managed to fix the problem after I rearranged the nodes as well. So next, I used a small sequence of nodes, mainly using the float curve node, and with this, I'd create a sort of focal point within the wavelength, so that the middle of the effect would be peaking and the outside of the effect would be much lower, so it'd be much more prominent. So at this point, I'm going to speed up the footage by 25 times for this sequence. The reason is because I ended up spending a large amount of time playing around with the spectrogram and seeing how it could react in different ways. Once I was happy and done tinkering with the spectrogram, I went and increased the particle count for each of the individual wavelengths that you see. So that's why it's a lot more curvy, a lot more crisp for each of the wavelengths. Once I had done that and got the waveform itself complete, I went ahead and started setting up the camera settings alongside the rendering settings, so that I could get a really crisp image out of this visualizer. At this stage, I went and created a light map, and this basically acted as a emission, so that way it provides a bit of a glow to the tips of the waveforms. To follow this up, I used the float curve tool again, and with this I was setting up the lighting so that the top of the wavelengths would be brighter, and as the shadows would hit the bottom and the crevices of the wavelengths, those areas would be much darker. So it sort of adds to the depth between each of the wavelengths and give it a more 3D sort of feel. And to finish, I wanted to add some color to the scene, and I wanted to add it in such a way where it would change color from front to back, sort of adding to the play on depth really with this one. So yeah, here I am using a color ramp, and with each of the individual nodes of the color ramp, I can set out the different stages at which the color shifts within the wavelengths. So at this point I was just applying the finishing touches. It was almost time to render, so I added the bloom, and I also edited the depth of field effect just so that it'd be a little bit nicer on the eyes. And that concludes my 5th dev blog. Thank you very much for watching. Again, the render for this can be found underneath the bottom of this video.